On June 15, 1979, Sergeant William Cross was stabbed to death by inmates at the Washington State Penitentiary. The prison immediately went on an extended lockdown, and a massive search was started to rid the penitentiary of weapons, drugs, and tons of excess property that cluttered the cells in the entire institution. 3 weeks later, the last cell block, 8 Wing, had been stripped bare. Nearly 400 men were locked in the unit's 104 four-man cells under the hot Walla Walla sun. They had had no showers, no clean clothing or linen, and nothing but TV dinners to eat twice a day for 21 days. On Saturday, July 7, 1979, Sergeant Dick Morgan returned to work in 8 Wing. He was met by a sullen group of inmates.
We had just served the evening meal. It usually took 2 officers and myself, and we would put those big 18-inch wide floor brooms together, and we'd act like a snowplow. We'd start at the cell 17, and we'd plow TV dinners and food and crap up to the front where we could shovel it into garbage cans. And we were doing that, and somebody threw a chicken bone at me and hit me in the back of the head. And I thought, well, it's a cheap shot. We'll just keep an eye on what's going on. And then they started throwing some other stuff, but no verbiage attached with it. So I says, well, fine. If they don't want the garbage picked up, we'll just leave it on the floor. It was my intent that we would sweep it up when they quit throwing stuff. Somebody hollered out, showers, just the word showers. And he screamed it real loud, and I could tell by his voice who he was. Somebody else screamed showers. And then pretty soon we had this chant going of showers, showers, showers. And I called Ledford and said, I got something going here in the wing. They're chanting for showers. He says, well, let me know what's going on. The chant, very shortly after that, went to kill, kill, kill. Kill the pigs and stuff like that interspersed in it. It just picked up in a frenzy. The other side of the wing picked up on it. Then somebody started tear your shitter off the wall, tear your shitter off the wall. And then the banging started where they started tearing the toilets and sinks up. It was so noisy. And I'm calling Ledford off and on, telling him things are getting worse. But when they started tearing the toilets off, I called him and said, Bob, we've got something serious going on here, tearing things up. And I think he said, I know I can hear it. And I only had 2, maybe 3 officers there for the lockdown. I called Ledford back and I said, I need officers to set point on the tiers so I can find out if any of them breach a cell door. The noise was so horrendous that the only way I could tell an officer to do something was to cup my hands over their ear and shout. I told them, take your whistle. If you see anybody stick a head out of the cell, blow your whistle and come running fast because we're going to bail out of this wing. And Bob is telling me, well, hang in there. I'm trying to figure out what to do. This is going on, and chunks of porcelain are getting thrown from the cells up to the front, and the officers are ducking. And there's this huge booming going. I mean, it's like out of Alien or something. I thought the other stuff was loud. This was amazing. It was a very low-frequency boom. It sounded like a giant log on the gates of a castle, and it shook the whole wing. You could feel it almost when you could hear it. You could not, for the life of me, imagine what in the hell they had that they were hitting the wing with. It would just be this big boom, and everything would shake. And you could hear up there on F deck that they said that we're going through the wall. They started screaming. As soon as the boom started, everything went quiet, and then you'd hear this big kaboom and screaming and hollering and cheering, and then kaboom. I called Bob and I said, man, they're saying they're going through the wall. I assumed that they were trying to get into the pipe chase. And once you're through the pipe chase, there's one steel door between you and the inmates, and that's it. Very old steel door. Then all of the noise starts over again. They start tearing up their sinks some more and throwing crap, and the booming continues. Walt Burfitt, Spaulding, and Kinchlow show up. I'm really not interested in what those guys have to say. I want to talk to Walt Burfitt. And I take him outside the front door of 8 Wing, and I said jokingly, hey, Walt, how long is it going to hold together? He says, not very goddamn long. He says, they'll have those doors open within the hour if this stuff keeps up. And I'm going, wow, we really are in serious trouble here. You know, we're going to lose a wing, and we don't have any place to put these people. We hear them shouting, we're through, cheering and everything. And I thought, So I called that in. And I said, okay, hang tight. We're going to get the tag team in there. Things actually got a little quieter there. You could still hear the booming noise. But I thought, well, great. This wing's trash. I mean, there's porcelain all over the place. All of the windows are busted out. There's smoke and fires going. And so Talbot came in with a few of the tag team. We had been under some construction, and there was a lot of construction debris laying around up there. And so his crew and my crew started throwing all of this stuff out the front door so that in combat that we wouldn't have all this weapon material available for the enemies. I told Talbot, I said, man, I've got to be in on this. I said, I've got to get out there and get in uniform and come back with the tag team. He says, well, you're going to abandon the wing anyway. I said, my crew's going to go and we're just going to leave the wing. And he said, that's right, they're through the wall, let's get out of here. His crew left, and I told my officers to leave, count all their keys and stuff. And I made sure I had the front door key, and I locked both front doors and left it there so that I would be the last one out, like going down with your ship or something. I went out and I was the chemical weapons man for the team. Put on all my gas gear and got my grenades and gas gun ready. And Butch Moreland was assigned as, and Jerry Cook, I think, were assigned to shotgun escorts. We went out front, and it's always disputed, but I heard the shoot-to-kill order clear as day. I was standing right next to Butch Moreland when Sil Kinchlow turned to Basinski or somebody on the SWAT team and said, if you open the front door, the pike chase, if there's an inmate there, you kill him. You know, that's like throwing meat to a rabid dog. The SWAT team said, okay. And Butch Moreland asked for one more clarification. Butch was to go to the head of B tier and fire one round of birdshot. And Butch said, what am I supposed to shoot it at? And he said, just shoot down the tier. He said, okay. And so I stuck with Butch. So the chemical weapons man always stays with the shotgun because you can't let the chemical weapons man get taken and you apply lethal force to anybody trying to take the chemicals. We went in the front door, and the SWAT team peeled off to the left, and I went with Butch to the right, and he fired his first one or two rounds, I can't remember, down the tier. Things got real quiet, and I remember looking over at the SWAT team, and opened up the door, and they jumped in, and there was nobody in there. They go into pike chase, and they come out, and they say it's clear. They retreat and take positions outside the unit. Then the rest of the TAC team is brought in. They start on E-deck and start pulling the inmates out one by one. I was scared to death. I knew somebody was going to die. I didn't know who, but I knew somebody was going to die. I was convinced, 100% convinced we had people in that tunnel. They had an order to kill. These inmates were foaming at the mouth. I was sure people were going to get killed. When the first inmate came out, because of all this pent-up nervous energy, I laugh when I get really, really nervous. And I start laughing for some reason. The first convict out set me to laughing so hard that I laughed so much that night. I hurt. He came out on one leg. Somebody had a hold of his ankle. Somebody had a hold of his cuffs, and another person had a hold of his shoulders. He was either naked or just wearing shorts. And he came down pogo leg with his knee locked straight out in front of him, bouncing off of each step. Down there going bang, 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 screaming, don't hurt me, and bang, 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 and out the front door was thrown out on the dirt out there. And that, for some reason, just deflated the whole situation. This is exactly the opposite of what I thought we were going to run into. We've got control of this thing, and the idea of this big bad convict coming out like that just set me laughing. And it was like that all the way down E-deck, and the screaming and hollering, the convicts were yelling, come and get us, you punks, we'll cut your throats and stuff. And I remember a guy down 7B yelled out this one obscenity, Morgan, I'm coming out of this cell, and I'm going to climb over your dead sister to fuck you in the ass, you punk. It set the whole wing laughing. They come up with some pretty good insults sometimes, but that was very descriptive. He was mouthing like that to every officer he could put a name to, and then the crew started hollering back to him saying, we're coming for you, Larry. As they went around, the wing kept getting quieter and quieter, and some of the crew got a little out of hand. For the most part, they were handled very roughly, but it wasn't beatings or thumpings or anything like that. But they were, no question was in anybody's mind who was in charge. They were thrown about, slammed up against walls, and not allowed to talk, or they'd get whacked. And they were taken out their short and then thrown out in the dirt. And I remember stepping out in front of the wing to see what they were doing with these guys after they threw them out of the wing. I had nothing to do from this point on. And they were throwing them down in this construction dust that was out there, face down, and not allowing them to turn their heads one way or the other to breathe. And you could see these little puffs of dust coming out of underneath these heads, and you'd have 64 inmates lined up in this dust, face down out there. And you had all of the administrators were up there on the wall with the SWAT team and applauding and cheering when they were bringing these guys out. So as these guys were brought out and lined up out there, they would stand them up and march them out in the Walla Walla shuffle. Talbot would have them put their nose on the shoulder of the guy in front of them and lockstep them in a fast shuffle to the big yard, single file. That process took about an hour, maybe more, before they got back to the wing to do the next tier. And as they cleared off tier by tier, it kept getting quieter and quieter. And B tier was waiting for their turn. They were dead quiet. They had heard some of the confrontations that had gone on above them, and there was a lot of hollering going on before with the confrontations. And they heard the orders being given, take them down, and it was dead quiet. And Larry Brown hollers out, "Tell them we're sorry." And for those of us that were left at 8-Wing, we just burst out laughing. And when Larry Brown did go out, everybody on the wall started cheering. "Boy, there's Larry!" So that cleared off 8-Wing. I remember sitting out front watching an officer picking up all the cigarettes and sticking them in his pocket and walking up. That was a very long